erases the stigma.
Brain difference is not a crime.
Mental health isn't just your problem.
It's our problem.
And now, Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
Welcome to Mental Health Mondays.
Every Monday,
With Marla and Dave.
I'm Marla,
And I'm Dave.
and we want to welcome you to our show.
Hurrah! Anyway, just joking. You remember back in the day, that was sort of a rap thing.
Okay.
Hurrah!
All right.
Anyway, okay, guys, we have a great show for you today, as usual. Right up front, we want to remind you to text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 818-698-1021 and support our A Dollar Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign. She's an actress and a dancer who was literally, and I mean literally, born into show business to parents who were an acrobatic comedy vaudeville act, and they worked all the time, and so she just took up into the family business. After booking the coveted Gerber Baby campaign at 6 months old, she successfully worked consistently until about age 11, where she describes at one point, this might sound funny, but it might be sad at the same time, needing a job, a cup of coffee, and a cigarette. Yes, that's true. When we come back, we'll have an amazing conversation with our guest, Robbi Morgan Walberg. See you in a minute.
When Dave and Marla get together. Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave and NAMI San Fernando Valley believe it doesn't take much to make life a little better for our neighbors, coworkers, friends, our family members, even our children who suffer with mental illness. When you support our A Dollar Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign, you are doing your part to erase the stigma surrounding mental illness. For just $1 today, or $1 a day for 1 week, just $7, we can look forward to a future that does not include the unfortunate and uncomfortable stares, bullying, and the subsequent isolation that our loved ones who suffer with brain differences deal with. Text the word GIVE, that's G-I-V-E, to 818-698-1021 to donate. A Dollar Today Keeps the Stigma Away. Brought to you by Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave and NAMI San Fernando Valley.
All right, as promised, we are here with our guest, Robbi Morgan Walberg.
Welcome to Mental Health Mondays.
Well, you know,
so
right
now,
up front,
Robbi,
Marla's been asking all day.
Make friends with this thing called the mic. Now, you don't have to hold it like this because it can mean, never mind. But you can definitely, right, we want you to talk right into there because every guest has such a unique story everybody's always really wanting to hear. I got to launch right in. Was that just a line or was that absolutely true? Is by the time you were
the
11,
job, the coffee, and the cigarette.
the job, the coffee, cigarette, is that real?
That is real.
Wow. Talk to us about that at what was it, 6 months old?
Well, no, that was
No, but you started at 6 months old.
At 6 months old, I did a Gerber's little print ad,
Right.
But Mom and Dad, it was the family business, Dave, and all of us kids. I'm the baby of 4. And so when Mom and Dad came off the road after vaudeville was kind of coming to a close.
Can we stop there for a minute? Vaudeville. When I think of vaudeville, I'm thinking of Abbott and Costello, that kind of thing.
Oh, vaudeville, absolutely.
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh yeah, my mom had an act before she met my dad.
Wow.
And that's kind of a quick funny story. When my mom was already in an act with 3 girls called the Abdella Girls. They were acrobats.
Okay.
And my dad saw the act, and he came backstage, and he had kind of a girlfriend with him who he wanted one of the girls to teach his girlfriend how to do what the girls were doing. And the other girls were like, no. Like,
Wow.
I'm not teaching.
Yeah.
But my mom said, I'll teach her.
Oh, wow.
And then once my mom started doing tricks with my dad,
And then
trying to teach this other girl, he was
Right.
like, see ya. And
Right.
my mom and dad became an act. They
I
did
love
a 2-act.
that.
Wow.
I
But my
love that.
oldest brother, who is,
Oh, so you're not an only child. That's interesting to know. I always ask that.
right, no, I'm one of 4.
Where are you in the lineup?
I'm the baby.
Oh.
And so my oldest brother is 11 years older than me because vaudeville was coming to a close.
Yeah.
And he was in the act with them.
Wow.
Wow.
And he would tell jokes to give them, a breather.
Right.
Like jokes, like vaudeville jokes.
Right.
To
Like,
set up the next set.
well, like,
kind of
no,
thing,
my
yeah.
dad would say, "Did you take a bath last night?" And he'd say, "Why? Is one missing?"
Hilarious.
All those, how old are
Those
you?
little one-liners.
One-liners.
Yeah. He'd say, "How old are you?" And my brother would say, "I'm 4. I would have been 5, but my daddy was bashful."
Hilarious.
But when he needed to go to kindergarten and burlesque was coming in, they needed to settle, so he could go to school, and they opened a dancing school.
Okay.
And then when the rest of us kids came along, one at a time,
little soft shoe.
Gary, my oldest brother, was working on Broadway, and then my next brother was working, and then I was supposed to be a fibroid tumor, but I came along.
Hilarious.
Walking and thinking fibroid.
I came along and just joined in.
So it was literally the family business.
Absolutely.
And so it went from the parents to everybody in the family, all the kids.
Yes.
And so was there ever a time where it was like a big family troupe on stage at the same time?
Yes, every year at my mom's show, because
Wow.
the dancing school was very big. We used to do a family act
Okay.
every year at the recital. And that's when we would all perform together.
The whole family.
Yes, mom and dad. And, dad never liked to rehearse. And,
Right,
us kids were
right.
like, yes, the whole family.
It was just
Sometimes-
off the cuff.
Well, no, we rehearsed pretty
Okay.
much. Dad didn't, but we did. Sometimes we would do trampoline, a big, they would roll out a big trampoline, and mom would do tricks, and I would do tricks, and my brothers would do
Wow.
tricks. And while we weren't working, we were at the studio. So
Yeah.
studio was more like home
Yeah.
than home.
Working at your craft, but not actually on stage.
Right. Always working on something,
Right.
in every class.
And so talk to us about how you went from doing that stuff with your family. You mentioned the Gerber ad that you
Yes.
booked, and then you were a regular on a was it a show?
Yes. So at about 6.5, I had an audition for an off-Broadway show called
Yeah.
𝘬𝘬𝘦𝘦𝘱𝘴.
There you go.
And Bernadette Peters, that was one of her
Wow.
first like off-Broadway show. And then she left to go do Dames at
That's
Sea.
not an off-Broadway name. We know that one.
Oh,
I
you dropped
know,
something. I think it's
know.
Bernadette.
Anyway, so, you had to be 7 to join Equity. And I was 6.5.
So you couldn't get in the union.
So Dad just made the
Just a little
1
adjustment.
into a 0.
There you
and
go. Boom.
It worked, yeah. And, I did that show. I can't imagine how my mom was feeling the first night I went on at 6.5.
So let me ask you this. So
She must have been a
So
nervous
instead
wreck.
of starting school, you were actually going to work every day.
Yes,
Now, were teachers on set like they have to do nowadays?
No. No. They were when I was doing movies.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. But that off-Broadway show, no. I was still kind of enrolled in public school.
Right.
Right.
And, when I was on one of the talk shows, the David Frost show, publicizing the show,
Yeah.
He asked about school and I would show up for an hour or two in the morning and just to be there.
Right.
But I usually would hear my name over the intercom and,
Boom.
Right.
Got to go to work.
Please come to the office. But for me, it was like, oh, thank God.
Right.
I couldn't wait to hear my name to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
That's-
As every
that's-
kid would want
right.
that same thing
Yeah.
at that age.
And plus, I think that as well, what she's really talking about to me is just her performance involvement was something she was she was enculturated into. This is what her family did.
Yeah,
Like,
they were
this is-
performers.
This is her life. So
Right.
the other part
Was the distraction.
Correct. Was not the familiar thing.
Correct. And that's when the shit hit the fan. See, because those kids that at that public school that I went to, that little
Yeah.
elementary school, they would get on school buses and go on a field trip and come see me
Right.
in
Wow,
the
working.
show.
Yeah.
And I'd sign autographs and, for all of them. But
Yeah.
then, so when I got sent back to that school in 5th grade,
Oh my goodness.
I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That's when I needed a job, a cup of
She's
coffee.
like, okay.
Where's
And
craft
a-
services?
And a cigarette.
She's
yeah.
like, okay, so let me tell you guys something. You don't know where I've been.
Oh, no. I mean, I was a working girl. I was a
Wow.
working girl.
Wow.
And, it was like, I had I had no tools.
So you went from
school.
life in the fast lane really to
I had no tools
life in
for
the
school.
life in the fast lane to just regular mundane life, and then
Yes.
so
But
had
it was
things.
very, it was kind of slowly,
Yeah.
like, third grade, I was doing a nightclub act with Marty Allen. So when I think of third grade, it was that,
Wow.
Right.
Fourth grade, I was doing a movie with Debbie Reynolds and
Right.
Shelley Winters.
Yeah.
Right.
I was always kind of in and out of school, but
Yeah.
always absolutely working. And so the town, because of my mom's dancing school, they knew her. Everybody went to the studio.
Yeah.
Everybody to
Yeah.
learn. And so I was very well known,
Mm-hmm.
in the town.
How did that? But as a how did that make you feel? Was there some? Did that bring up some type of inadequacy at all? Just as a child, like, did you feel like? Which one did you feel? Did you feel like these kids were the issue, or did you feel like it was you?
The workload was the issue.
Right.
I'll tell you exactly.
Perfect.
So, it's so, as I've unraveled my life, which I have.
Right.
I remember one time my mom came to school to get me out. I had an audition or I had to do something, and and the teacher, my mom was saying to the teacher, Robbie's very special. She does 8 shows a week. She's working. She's busy. And
Yeah.
so the teacher said, "Oh well, all the children are special." and my mother said, "No,
But not like Robbie.
But Robbie
yeah,
is
exactly.
more special."
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, I was in the better than all of you,
Almost looking down.
but also less than
Yeah.
Got it.
all of you. So I was in the
Right.
grip of my ego, but didn't know it until all these years later
Later.
that I could uncover this, because we know on Mental Health Mondays
Yeah.
that the ego wants to be separate and superior.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And holy shit, was I in trouble when I had to go back to that school.
That is a very interesting turn in the way that you said that. We'll explore that when we come back, because
Yeah.
I would imagine that, that ego almost wants to take on a life of its own. And inside, though, you still know that you're living up to this massive ego, and that might have produced some sort of feelings of inadequacy, but anxiety, I would think. And we'll talk about that when we come back.
Okay.
We'll be back with Robbi Morgan Walberg.
She's not going anywhere. She can't get past me. I will tackle her. She'll be here. We'll be right back.
It's time for the Mental Health Minute with Marla and Dave.
With all of the progress that has been made in the field of mental health, unfortunately, there is still a great deal of stigma surrounding mental health. Many times we don't talk about how we feel and try to suppress our negative thoughts and emotions, but this only leads to ineffective and even harmful ways of coping, such as turning to alcohol, drugs, emotional eating, or other unhealthy ways of dealing with symptoms, according to Dr. 𝘬𝘕𝘦𝘬𝘺.
She goes on to say, seek professional support if you need, and know that it is normal to have periods of difficulty and stress where you might need to enlist the help of someone who specializes in this area.
So with the difficult times all of us have experienced lately, know that you are not alone, and the resulting symptoms that you might have to deal with due to some of these uncomfortable times are definitely treatable. You can return to a quality of life that you will be happy with.
This message is brought to you by Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
I never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically live my personality on my scene.
It's like a match dancing with a firecracker.
So we promised you we're going to continue that conversation, and thanks everybody. There's for all of you who are in the chat room here. So, Robbie,
Yes. Marla,
anxiety.
I'm going to say a very big word.
Do it.
You ready?
Well, we think we are.
Lay it on us.
Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, let me help you with that.
Listen.
What she meant to say was fear.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's that.
That's it.
That is the bottom line.
Yeah.
And, Michael Singer, who wrote The Untethered Soul, helps me all the time. I mean, regularly. I have his book right there, and I pick it up because what he talks about is how do you free yourself from yourself? And fear, oh, man. We all have it. We all have it. And I had it when I was a little girl.
Well, before
I
you
was
even
literally
move a little
about
further,
to ask her what.
around 5th grade, you said you're about 11, where slowly but surely you weren't getting as many calls as you were getting up
Right.
until that point. So what was the reason between the gap between that age, around 5th grade, and all the way to 22 before you went to seek help about what you've realized that you were dealing with?
Well, from like 5th grade, so like 11 to 15 were some terrible years for me. Terrible. Because my livelihood was gone.
Yeah.
Now, if that happens to a grown-up,
Right.
if a grown-up,
It's devastating
loses,
to adults.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You lose your job, you lose your it's like you're lost.
Right. It's almost who you are, part of who
your
you
sense
are.
of purpose. That's what it is.
Absolutely. I lost my livelihood. I lost my sense of purpose. I lost my friends, my going to the theater every day.
Yeah.
Having so much to do. I had auditions every day. But the thing that was so cool about it when I was working was as I was completely detached. Because I was doing it all the time.
Right.
And so that's why I was working all the time, because I would show up, share what I had to share, do what I did.
Yeah.
And I was a little raggedy around the edges, and I would
But it
work
was
all
that
the
sort of
time.
impetuous nature that they're looking for in young kids, I
Yeah.
guess, in show business. Yeah.
But anyway, so between the ages of, I started working again at 15. And, I said to my older brother, I was like, you know what? I was already smoking pot, though.
At 15?
Before 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
No, before 6th grade.
Wow.
Actually, before 7th grade.
Now, did
Summer
your parents know about
between-
this?
We were a show business home.
So it was sort
and
of
we were
the normal rules didn't apply.
Exactly.
Okay.
So my oldest brother had, already been smoking pot. He was a hippie, and
Yeah.
and he was already here in L.A. because we lived in New Jersey,
Mm.
like
wow.
9 miles out of New York City.
You're on the Atlantic City side.
Well, then hence off Broadway.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, we were 9 miles from New York City, so
Absolutely,
15 minutes we were in the city.
Yeah.
But so I was using already, my 2 older brothers were already smoking pot and,
Experimenting. It was that time of, life.
Yes. And, but at 15, I realized, I wanted to work again. So I said to my brother, my brother Gar, what do I have to do? What do I do now? Because when I was younger, I was just kind of taken.
Right.
It wasn't really something that I
You were caught up in a
chose.
You didn't try to do it.
She
You
was
didn't
caught up in a
choose it.
current. She was in a current. The current was moving her.
Yes, absolutely. I never thought of it that way. So, Mom and Dad, I had an agent. I had auditions, but I was taken. And
Yeah.
at 15, I was like, well, what do I do now?
You wanted to choose it
Now
for
you
yourself.
Now you have to
Yes.
decide how you're going to navigate this rapid.
Yep.
You're like, I don't have where's my paddle?
Yes, but I did.
Right.
There was one problem, though. Well, I'm kind of speeding up. But so I got another agent. I started going out. I started booking work again. I
Wow.
started kind of feeling like,
Okay, I still got it.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I wound up, I did a little movie at the time called Friday the 13th Part 1.
No.
Oh, just a little movie called "Ooh, I Dropped Something." Friday the
Jason,
13th.
That's right. I was
What?
I was the first one killed.
Oh wow!
That's
Now
usually
we're gonna
black-
have to go
that's
back and
usually
look
black
at it.
People, what are you doing? Robbie with family.
No, I ran into the woods.
It's the black people who
my
get killed in
goodness.
every horror film.
Let's hide by the
And
chainsaws.
Robbie.
And
It's us and Robbie.
Yeah. Anyway,
Wow.
so I did that movie, happy to be working. And then I got a Broadway show. I did the original company of Barnum, where I had trained my whole life. They needed circus performers who could sing and dance. It was Jim Dale and Glenn Close.
Oh, wow.
And I did the trapeze, and I did the acrobatics, and I sang, and I danced, and I juggled. I did everything I had
All your skills got put to use.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I took my unicycle to the audition, and I was ready.
It's amazing.
There was one problem. I hadn't done any of the inside work.
Wow.
So, come to find out at 22 in rehab that life is an inside job.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about what that meant.
But can I just say this?
Yes.
And I want to say this to you, and I want to say this to our audience.
Yes.
That is a hard pill to accept or even to recognize as you were a teenager. Most people at that age.
22.
Oh, so even still.
Yeah.
Like with what you'd done, the detachment that you had experienced growing up, the current that you were in did not offer that. So what I'm saying is I get it. So the fact you were lost at that point, I understand it fully, and we're glad you're here, but you can go ahead and continue to speak to that. But I just want to say, I'm saying that because it's about expectation. That's so deep. I was telling somebody the other day, the hardest work that I've learned that I will ever do in my lifetime is the inner work. And once I turned it on myself, which I started at 17 on my own, saying, Marla, you don't even like you. What are you doing? And started working, which was just a consciousness at first.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I understand what you mean, and I need to give that as an expectation because now there's so many distractions. Some people never get there, but 22, it still feels like a baby. So continue.
So I want to ask the question, though. What was the moment, the point that made you decide that it was time to do that inside work?
Okay, well, I'm doing a Broadway show.
Okay.
Okay, at the St. James. I'm doing Barnum, and I meet a nice Jewish juggler.
A nice Jewish juggler.
Oh no! Let me be Robbie's hype man. It was a man.
It was a man.
It was a man.
And I have to say that he was the one who kind of started asking the questions and stirred up the pot about because up until that point everything was sort of I was still navigating without any authenticity. It appeared to be that that's who I was. I could do this, I could do that. What? I was so adorable and
everything
cute.
was out here.
And then God did for me what I couldn't do for myself and removed him from my life. And he moved away to Israel. He became, he was on his own path and journey. And for so many years, I really resented him.
For waking you up and then...
I resented him and blamed him. But now I realize what an angel in my
gift.
life.
Wow.
He was, because it set me on the path. So I was like 18, 19. I only had a couple more years of being uncomfortable and using and using on a regular basis. Now, I didn't use to party. It wasn't like that. It was medicinal.
It was just a thing.
It was to be comfortable in my own skin because I was crawling out of my skin.
Wow.
So, there I am on Broadway. There I am with the movie opening at the Lowe's on 44th Street. And screaming on the inside. And that little girl that worked, was still, I had so much fear. It was like, well, who am I going to go to lunch with?
Wow.
Crazy.
Surrounded by so many people, but still lonely at the same time.
Wow.
Very.
Wow. So we're going to actually keep this conversation going.
So
It's an amazing, transparent conversation, and yet so much fun.
Yeah. I know.
It's like a movie unto itself unfolding right before our eyes. Our guest, again, Robbi Morgan Walberg. We'll be right back. All right. That music tells us, Marla, hit it.
Hold on. Today, I think, Tony, can you please turn the camera onto Robbi? Now, Robbi, as a performer, and her family, she came from vaudeville. There was tricks, and Robbie,
What
I've been
Marla's
asked to
saying,
be
Robbie,
a pole dancer in my seat.
She
but I
usually
think
does a little pole dance in
you
her
can
seat.
give me, and you're also a dancer. Please give me a little pole something so I can do my pole thing. Give me something from your seat, just anything. I usually, And then,
Just feel the music, Robbie. Go with it. 5, 6, 7, 8. I love that.
There we go.
Into it.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby.
All right. So anyway, that music tells us. Thank you, Robbie. That music tells us it's poll time. Last week, the poll question was: compared to homicide statistics in the U.S., death by suicide is 1/2 or 50% of the homicides each year.
Answer this.
Equal. A 1-to-1 of the homicide deaths are the suicide deaths each year, or is it twice as many suicide deaths to homicide deaths each year? Robbie, this is your chance to take a stab at a guess.
Ooh.
Is it half of the numbers for
Equal
homicides?
or 200%, twice
or
as many?
is it equal or twice as many suicides than homicide?
Oh, definitely, I would say suicide. Yeah.
Twice as many?
Twice as many, yes.
And ding, ding, ding. You were
But our guest last week missed that.
what did they guess?
Equal.
They guessed equal, and unfortunately, it is twice as many deaths by
And
suicide
that is a sad.
than
That's a sad,
homicide.
Yeah. We
in
wish
this.
they were right.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Marla, what's the poll question for next
week, Robbie, you always get first shot here. On average, how many people in the United States suffer with bipolar disorder? 1.2 million, 3.8 million, or 5 million?
Ooh. It's under the 5 million.
Okay, you're saying 3.8 million.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So
We're
now
gonna know
That's
next week.
high. That's high. I know.
now
but
we cannot give the answer this
Gotta
week,
tune
but
in.
if you tune in next week, you'll see if you got it correct.
Okay.
So let's see if Robbie gets it. She is actually 1 for 1 as of now. We'll see if she's 2 for 2 next week. And remember to text the word GIVE, GIVE, to 818-698-1021. We'll be right back. And we're
All right.
back.
And as Dave said, we're back.
That quick.
I thank you, by the way, Robbie, for that special. You're the only one, by the way. You
Really?
Yes, you were a dancing virgin.
You were the
on our
first
show.
dancer
Other
in
than
in lieu of Marla abdicating her
Because
dance moves.
I think Dave should bust a move, but we'll talk about that.
Well,
it's a
you
little
know-
sexist up in this piece, but it's all right.
Listen. My daughter was a professional ballerina, and all of her childhood, and I want to talk about this because I unconsciously did to her what was done to me. But all along, I kept her at the bar to keep her off the pole.
Hilarious.
We get it.
Hilarious.
The
Oh,
ballerina bar.
We
Goldie,
understand.
I love you. I love you.
I understand.
Oh,
Hilarious.
baby.
All
So,
right, so
but talk to us
yeah.
about that. How when you became a mom, all the things that you felt and the work that you had done up until that point.
Well, I want to just go back for a second because when at 22,
Yeah.
I did check myself into rehab.
you had an awakening.
Well, I knew I needed help.
Mm-hmm.
I was in trouble. I did want to die. I wanted to die. I wanted to die at 11,
Wow.
and then I wanted to die again because I had no tools for living. None. Even though, I come from a wonderful, loving family. I had tools for show business,
Yeah.
but no tools for living. Even though, my mom
Right.
was fantastic. My mom would say things like, honey, one day at a time, have faith, all of those things. But I didn't know how to.
You
What
didn't
that
have the
looked like.
structure.
No,
Yeah.
no. And so, so I wound up, I checked myself in. One of my brothers my middle brother called me and said, Rob, I know what's wrong with you because it's the same thing that's wrong with me.
Wow.
And he had gotten clean and sober. And he was on the East Coast. I was out here on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was the one who took me to my first, meeting.
Meeting. Yeah.
And of course, I went loaded because I couldn't face
Of course.
that.
It's the first meeting.
Yep. And I knew I needed more help than he was, by the grace of God, able to just go to meetings and get clean and sober. I needed more help, and I knew I needed more help. So I checked myself into rehab, and I didn't know that I was checking myself into a. I kind of wanted more of like a a country setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
not a hospital, sort of like Natalie Wood in Splendor in the Grass.
Yeah.
Right? When I arrived, I thought they were going to give me
High heel slippers by the pool.
arts and crafts.
Yeah, there
like,
you
where
go.
are my paints?
Right.
You know, and I got there, and, you know,
You had to do the work.
They were telling me, like, you know, check the board, you're on kitchen duty. And I was like, kitchen duty? No, you don't understand. I don't do dishes.
I'm Robbi.
I don't do dishes.
Yeah.
But I quickly heard the message and heard and received that gift, which it is a gift.
Yes.
That discipline,
not-
responsibility.
It's the gift, I heard that, a lot of people in the rooms, keep coming back and back and back, and they don't get the gift of sobriety. And I heard that gift, and kind of, even though the people that were in the rehab that I went to were all checked in from the courts and stuff, I was there to get the help that I needed, and thank God I did.
Well, 30 minutes is just never enough time to really just unpeel all the layers.
Oh, no.
But you speak to us about your message of the need for your relationship with oneself.
Oh my goodness. Well, since in my case, from the time I was a little girl, all the validation came from the outside in. Everything. Auditions,
Yeah.
show, the audience, everything came from the outside in. And I was in big trouble.
Wow.
Still, I mean, listen, I am a huge supporter in Without Help It Is Too Much for Us. And so I got outside help as well as the 12
I love that, yeah.
as well as the 12-step program that saved my life. And it was her that said to me, her name is Ofra Peters, and it was her that kept reminding me, Robbi, it's the little girl. The little girl needs your attention. The little girl needs your validation. Not the grown-up Robbi. The little girl that didn't get this inner validation. You need to give it to you.
Wow.
You need to tell you that you're that you're wonderful, that I love you, that you're fantastic. That
self-affirming.
You need to tell yourself everything you need to hear from someone else.
Wow.
And I was able to, I needed the validation from every teacher, like every class that I went to. I was experiencing, the same thing over and over, the same pain over and over, because I wanted you to tell me,
how great you were.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And until she said to me, okay, we're going to play a game. You're going to go to that class, and you're going to look in the mirror, and you're going to tell yourself in that class everything you want the teacher to tell you. And I started doing that, and I started practicing. It's a practice.
Wow.
And soon after that, I didn't need to go back to that class anymore.
I love that. And so, you know what? We are so looking forward to your Broadway play that you're developing, because you are a ball of tremendously positive
It's
energy.
such a small little powerful package. It's crazy.
Exactly. A ball of energy, and we love you.
It can't be 30 minutes already.
We're past 30 minutes, Robbi.
Robbi, look at the wall. Look at the wall,
Time
Robbi.
is flying.
No.
So we got a promise to come back.
Oh, absolutely.
Got a promise to come back. Our guest has been Robbi Morgan
need that.
Walberg, and she is amazing, and she has shared so much already, and we can always tell she has a lot more to share.
Thank you, Allison. We receive you.'re not a producer, but we'll accept this. Allison Hawkins says you need to have her back. 30 minutes is way too short.
I got to say one more thing, guys.
Do
Go
it.
ahead.
I am 39 years clean and sober.
Wow.
I have 2 grown children. One is a Navy pilot who's about to get married, and my daughter is a ballet, was a professional, and now she teaches. But most of all, I'm married to the love of my life.
I love
for
that.
35 years.
What you got us beat,
Congratulations.
Robbi?
And his name is Mark Walberg, and he is the love of my life.
No. Hold on.
Yes.
Not Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Walberg, host of Temptation Island. Mark Wahlberg.
See? And you're still in a showbiz family.
And I'm
you
laughing
can't get away
because
from
on
it.
the way here, I said to David, I wonder if she's related to Mark Wahlberg. And Dave
you
was
know
like, don't stop. Don't be ridiculous, Marla. Like Marla always puts things together.
He's the love of my life.
He should bring him next time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what? It just keeps getting better and
And
better.
I couldn't have done all of this without him in my life.
Mark, thank you for being an awesome companion. We respect it, we appreciate it, and you have a gem.
And we'll see all of you next week on Mental Health Mondays with
Absolutely.
Marla and Dave.
See you here.
See you later. Thanks a lot, Robbie.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Indeed.
Love.